All right. So just a few housekeeping rules before starting debating. First is that before you start debate, please mention your gender preferences if you have one, or and also your POI preferences so that opposition team can respect the POI preferences that you prefer. Second is that please also make sure to time yourself as well. I would be keeping timestamps, but because I'm also writing notes at the same time and I'm a terrible multitasker, I would also recommend opposition team as well as the speaker to be timing themselves so that they know when to accept POIs and when to give them. So with all of that said, I would now like to welcome Prime Minister to open the case for government. Here, here.
I'll start my speech in three, two, one. First, I'd like to briefly define the notion of especially on the term hopeless romantic. We define a hopeless romantic as a person who want to make love and have a desire to make love, but at the same time having hardship making love because they have overly idealistic view on love. Also, they have hope for fairy tale type of love, and this can include people who include people who fall in love easily and who are very enthusiasts who are very into love itself. And these people are likely to have received many advice and criticism to others that their love are too unrealistic compared to the real world, and but but people who are still maintaining this kind of idealistic view on love. Uh, I think we believe that they are very likely to try hard to prove that their love can be realized to others and to themselves because they're uh, it is their idea that they would like to prove to others and to themselves that this love can also be realized. Moving on to our first argument, the reality TV shows dealing with love. By featuring to those TV shows, it has high possibility of actually realizing the idealistic form of love. Uh, we have classified into two situations where a person, a hopeless romantic, has succeeded or made succeeded in love in the TV shows, and the other circumstances where they fail to find a lover in the TV show, and we like to prove why in both two cases, a romantic lover has a high possibility of actually realizing their idealistic love. First, in the case of succeeding love, condition in the reality TV shows, uh, the broadcasters make conditions where it is very likely to find idealistic love and type of love. These broadcasters know the fantasy of the youngsters in these days, and many reality TV shows make sets that are very luxurious and conditions and atmospheres that are very romantic in order to induce romantic scenes and induce attention of the audience. For example, some go to a luxurious island some TV shows go to luxurious islands, some go to luxurious hotels or resorts, uh, and all participants join in those conditions to make love, to make romantic scenes, things like that. Also, participants are very charming and handsome, pretty individuals and characters because audience all like those kind of well-looking, good appearing characters. So these two conditions about atmosphere and the participants in the TV shows uh, positively affect to the hiring the possibility of realizing the idealistic form of love. Also, the fantasy also the fantasy of love today is very highly linked to these kind of media because many young people today admire media stars, influencers, and TV stars. So uh, we believe that a hopeless romantics, a form of ideal love, can also include a love through media, love with the influencer, love through love with the influencers or TV stars or so on. Uh, Plus, spending a lot of money is needed in reality to create those atmospheres and luxurious conditions to make idealistic love. But by joining the TV show, it is the money is not needed to make those conditions. Um, so we believe that in these conditions, a hopeless romantic is very likely to realize the ideal form of love. But also in the worst case where they fails to find a lover in the program, there still is a high possibility of finding a lover in other channel. How because many of the program deals with a view of love or certain participants have, they can tell about they can actively speak out about their ideal type of uh, female or male or things like that. And what these programs and TV shows exclusively have is that uh, um, it shows off to the whole citizens or whole audience, and there will be very high likelihood of finding a lover and and pool of people to pool of candidates of lover. Many examples of Korean there are many examples of Korean TV show participants. Many of the participants fail to find a lover in the TV show itself, but uh, many press shows that after the TV show itself, they successfully finds the lover because in the TV show they shows what they want and who they like, and these kind of informations uh, contribute to finding a real lover and idealistic love. Next argument is that in the case they absolutely fails to find a lover, in the worst case, they can reconsider it can be a chance to reconsider their view on love. As I mentioned, a hopeless romantic has an idealistic view on love. But if they still fails in a best condition, as I mentioned before, to make an idealistic love, they will think once more about their opinion on love, their view on love. This can be a chance of reviewing themselves, and in the best case scenario, they can be more realistic on dealing with love. And this, at the end of the day, uh, will higher the possibility of gaining a successful love, a more uh, helpful opinion, a helpful view on love to the hopeless romantic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful speech, Prime Minister. I would now like to welcome Leader of Opposition to the podium. Here.
Starting my speech in 15 seconds. Oh yeah. I'm the Prime Minister and
Leader of the opposition.
a leader of the opposition, and my pronouns are he, and I'll take POI through chat. Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. So government gives us a definition of what hopeless romantics are, right? They describe it as an overly idealistic image of love. These hopeless romantics, and they believe in fairy tale love. So essentially, it is permissible for the opposition to to come in and say that this fairy tale love means that these hopeless romantics are blinded by love. But I think that some other aspects of love blinding a hopeless romantic were not fully mechanized to the utmost best degree that when government was describing what hopeless romantic was. Because an important quality of being a hopeless romantic is that you're very resilient and you're very desperate, but because you are blinded by love, you keep on attempting at love. You believe that you can achieve love even though you have hardships in the past, right? This is why I use the specific word of resilience, right? And you want to achieve love in your way, in your authentic way, right? And this is very important too. Defining the scope of the debate, right? Because hopeless romantic is not just the definition of hopeless romantic is not just a mere like one sentence liner that can just be reduced down to fairy tale, right? We have hopeless romantics have these qualities such as being resilient and being desperate and even though you have these hardships in the past, you still want to find love, right? Now we're going to tell you as the opposition side why hopeless romantics would not choose to be featured in a reality show, such as like Singles Inferno and like Too Hot to Handle and other shows of that same nature, right? Because the reality of these sorts of dating shows are that a lot of the contestants who join these shows are social media influencers who join these kind of shows for monetary gain or to increase their social media presence, right? And this is the argument that we label as different intentions. What do I mean by this? I mean that while the actor right now that we're talking about is a hopeless romantic, every other person on that show might not be, and at a very high chance will not be a hopeless romantic as the actor is. They're going to be different people. What do I mean by this? It means that all the other contestants are most likely not going to be hopeless romantics because they join these reality dating shows for the purpose of gaining social media to establish a social media presence and for monetary gain, right? Which is precisely the reason why there are so many attractive people who already have a social media presence before they join the show. They're either models or they either run a fitness program or they want a gym, and which is precisely the reason why they want more exposure. So we're giving you the mechanism as to what happens before, like what are these people like? What are these people like before they join the show? And now I'm going to give you what happens after the show, right? What happens to these contestants after the show is finished? What do? They have an increased social media representation and presence, and they use this to further accentuate their monetary gain, and they start appearing on other reality TV shows, and they use these reality TV shows as a stepping block to gain more presence and to gain more money, right? So the crucial point coming from the opposition is that while you may be as an actor a hopeless romantic, other people might not and will at a very high chance will not have the same motivations as you as the actor, which we believe is extremely important because the intentions are different, right? And we also give you another point. Intentions for the producers are for viewerships and ratings, which is precisely the reason why it creates a highly fabricated environment. Even government side, they agree with us on this point, right? Oh yes, I'll take a POI.
Does hopeless romantic person require their counterpart to be hopeless romantic as well?
No, we're not saying that, but we're saying that it's less likely for a hopeless romantic to find love, and it is bad for the hopeless romantic because all the other contestants at a very high likelihood are not going to be hopeless romantics and have the same intentions as them, which is very, very important in our debate. And on to our argument about fabricated environment, right? They agree with this. They agree with us on this, right? Luxurious, romantic, and idealistic, which is precisely the reason why there are other specific aspects that limits the hopeless romantic from being their true selves, right? And it doesn't reflect reality, such as in the show Singles Inferno, you cannot know what the other person's job is or their occupation is, right? Until like the ending of the show, right? And this is very, very bad. Why? Why is this the case? Because you cannot be your true, genuine self. Because as a hopeless romantic, you want to be your true, genuine self, and you want to be resilient, and you want to find love. But you cannot do this because you can't be vulnerable on television. You can't talk about your traumas or what you think about your philosophy is, and especially you cannot talk about what your occupation is, right? So in terms of that, you cannot make meaningful connections because of this highly fabricated environment. It's a highly fabricated environment, right? And on to some other rebuttals, right? Because a government side comes in and says, oh, there's high conditions of finding idealistic love, and they cite luxurious, romantic, and idealistic, and abiding in. But this is not always the case, and we should not assume that we should not act like this is always the case, right? Because what do these shows also portray? They portray like fighting in the mud, and they portray like really messy situations where it's highly dramatic and people are fighting, and there's like wrestling. Why do you think the producers contain these very very messy portrayals in their show? Why is that the case? Because they want controversy, and they want high viewerships and high ratings. So they want like spicy content and highly controversial content to gain this. They don't really care about the contestants, the producers. They don't care, because their prerogative is to create a situation where they can gain the most viewership, right? So we should not be acting like that the entirety of the situation is like a perfect situation for idealistic love, because there are other factors such as like fighting in the mud and wrestling, which can be very limiting to the hopeless romantic. And in terms of that, this is why we believe that the hopeless romantic would choose not to be featured. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Leader of Opposition. I would now like to welcome Deputy Prime Minister to the podium. Here.
Am I audible right now?
Yeah, you're audible and visible.
Just setting my timer. Okay, my speech starts in 3, 2, 1. So two things I'm gonna do in my debate. First of all, I'm gonna give some few rebuttals about what the opposition have just said, and I'm gonna re-emphasize the argument given by our leader, our prime minister. So first to go over what team opposition have just said. So they mainly talked about two things. So first of all, they told us that many these kinds of TV show participants are like social media influencer and will not be a hopeless romantic. But 3 layers of analysis rebuttals. So first, you do not if you are hopeless romantic, even if you are hopeless romantic, you do not really require your counterpart to be also hopeless romantic, right? We think that this is kind of irrelevant. If this what for you to be a hopeless romantic means that you want to find the person who is like quite good looking, who is intelligent, who is like good at sports or whatnot. Like you want some kind of fantastic love. You want something who fits your need, not the person who is also romantic, or who is also like hopeless romantic as you. But secondly, even if you do not find your counterpart because other people are all social media influencers, we think that this like, hopeless romantic who have participated in this TV show will perceive reality that other people are not as hopeless romantic as he or she is. So to give you more analysis, I think it is important to think about why this person has become a hopeless romantic at the first place. We think that the reason why a person become hopeless romantic is because of the influence of social media and other TV programs. So where did your fantasy or like fairy tale type of love story came from? We think that a lot of source is from TV programs and social media, and we think that this person who is like in this debate would be willing to experience that kinds of fantastic love depicted and shown by social medias and TV programs or whatnot. So we think that by having this person go into this TV programs and social media, we think that this person will definitely fit their need about their fantastic love story or whatnot. Even if you fail to find the true love in this show, we think that in the sense that you are experiencing something that you have admired for and which has built your like fantastic belief, we think that this is enough for this person to go to this TV show. But thirdly, team opposition have told you that this people is like quite desperate to love, and we think that this actually contradicts their own idea, because if this person, this hopeless romantic person, is desperate about love, we see that this person would be very, very willing to go into this kind of TV show program, because the people who is coming out in this TV program is very attractive, like is quite good looking and whatnot. So we think that if the person is very desperate about having love, we think that this person will definitely participate in this TV show. And the second thing they said is about the fabricated environment, so that and that people cannot be authentic in this kind of TV show. But first of all, we think that whether you can show your like occupation or not really depends on the type of show you're participating in. So we think that this is overgeneralization, that you cannot show your job and whatnot. But secondly, even if you go out into the show that does not show your job or like age or whatnot, we think that this can actually means more authenticity for a person, because you will only see the person itself rather than your like others, like other like jobs or wealth or whatnot. We think that this hopeless romantic person is likely to be tired of like really tired of rating person by their wealth, like jobs or families or whatnot, because that is the standard that the reality requires. We think that this hopeless romantic person have already faced and heard a lot about what your romantic counterpart should be. They would have heard that, well, your romantic counterpart or your potential like husband or wife should be quite wealthy, should be in grown up in a good family, should have a good job or whatnot. And we think that this person would be tired and bored of hearing these kinds of what you need to be a romantic love partner or whatnot. So we think that by hiding your age, hiding your job, hiding your wealth or whatnot, we think that you can be actually more authentic to love, because you're only seeing the personality of the person. You're only seeing the person itself rather than all the other like things that you have. So we think that it actually means more authentic. You can have actually have more authenticity in this environment. So now to re-emphasize our argument. So our first speaker have already told you that by going into this TV program, you can fulfill your fantastic demand. So what does this fantastic demand actually mean? We think that this fantastic demand is largely built by this TV program and social media. And we think that by having this person go out into this TV program, you can have environment and like potential dating counterparts that you can never meet, and you can rarely meet in reality. So what kind of environment can you have in this TV program? You can go to some island, you can go to expensive hotels, you can do campfire with various people and whatnot. And these are the things that you cannot really do in the reality. So we think that by only going and participating in this kind of TV show, we think that you can fulfill this demand that you have hoped for like quite a long time. And we think that and that is why we think that this fulfilling fantastic need is only possible in our team government. And even if you do not meet the one you really hoped for, you think that we can expose yourself to your potentially attractive counterparts, because you are in the TV show and many people would be seeing you, meaning that some kind of person who is your ideal type might approach you after the show. So we think that this person can have much more opportunity to meet various people. But secondly, we think that you can check your love standard, which is quite important. We think that it is likely that this hopeless romantic person have faced a lot of their acquaintance pointing out that the person is not is being too idealistic and not seeing the reality. So the fact that you are still hopeless romantic show that this person still believes in this kinds of belief and would want to prove that their like love identity or love belief is not unrealistic. So to show that your love belief is not unrealistic and can be achieved in reality, we think that this person will be willing to participate in the TV show, because by participating in the TV show and meeting good people, you can like, prove to other people that you were not being too idealistic. And even if you fail to meet your good counterpart and prove to other people that you were not being unrealistic, then you can have the opportunity to redirect your love belief into a more realistic sense, which is the exclusive benefit the team of the government bring. In the case of team opposition, this hopeless romantic person would not have the opportunity to check whether the love identity is good or not, or whether it is realistic or not. So we think that in the sense that this hopeless romantic people can have the opportunity to check their love belief is realistic or not, we think that this is the exclusive benefit that team government bring. So yeah, we think the TV show is the best way, because this TV environment have already made best effort to promote unrealistic love. And secondly, you can hear diverse opinions because many citizens are viewing your show. So we think that this is a great opportunity for a person to redirect their conception about love belief and be more realistic or be more realistic. So we think that in the best case scenario, this person will find a romantic partner who they can meet, or and even in the worst case scenario, we think that you can redirect your love belief, which is the exclusive benefits we bring. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech, Deputy Prime Minister. I would now like to welcome Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here, here.
Hi, DLO. No preferred gender pronouns, POIs through voice, please. I'll probably miss it if it's a chat, so please through voice. And yeah, I'll start my speech in a few seconds. All right. Speech starts in 3, 2, 1. So 3 parts of my speech. First, I'm going to go over some rebuttals and then some clarifications about the debate and weigh some arguments coming from the government bench and provide the third argument to build upon our case. So first, some rebuttals, right? So what we get from the government is that there is no need for a counterpart to be hopeless romantic. We want to clarify that we're talking about how, yes, they don't need to be, they will not likely be a hopeless romantic also, but they also need the intention to also fall in love if the hopeless romantic wants to achieve their dreams of falling in love, right? If you go on that show and people there are there for, because they're influencers, they want to be famous or they want to get more fans, right? Then they're not looking for genuine love. They're not looking to fall in love in the first place, right? That's why as a hopeless romantic, you're not likely to achieve your goal because the other people are not there to fall in love with you. They're there to hook up with you. They're there to have flings with you. They're there to attract more viewers, to show off themselves on TV, right? That's why we're telling you that it is the intentions of others is also important because it affects the hopeless romantic's chances of achieving their own goals, right? Another thing is that they say that the hopeless romantic became that person because of TV, media, and like social media and SNS stuff like that, right? However, we tell you that just because they dreamed of all of this because of the media that they were exposed to, going on this show they will not be fulfilled just by going on this show. Why is this so? First off, we already told you coming from the opposition bench that it's very fabricated, right? It's not genuine. You have all these fantasies, all these dreams about what these TV shows are like, but even if you go on it, you'll find out, you'll even be actually even more dejected to find out that everything is fake, right? People place, like producers or the cameraman do specific things to tailor the story, to manufacture the story however they like so that they can get more viewership, right? Even if your experience there is like something genuine, the producers will not guarantee it and will alter it so that it benefits them instead, right? Second response is that we cannot guarantee that you will be fulfilled just by going on this TV show. Also, you will like continue to keep it as a standard because like now your expectations are so high for like what falling in love in the first place is like, right? Like as a hopeless romantic, of course, like you're very idealistic, but this is going to perpetuate and worsen that even more. Another thing is like we tell you that finding love in real life, like IRL, is so much more fairy tale like. Why is it so? Because like leaving it up to fate versus like handpicked people and like control situations and fake places that you don't even belong in, like a mansion or pools and hot people everywhere, alcohol everywhere, people in bikinis, right? That's obviously so fake and not an environment you genuinely be in, right? True love, we tell you that it's like from the hopeless romantic perspective, we tell you that finding love IRL is actually so much more idealistic than like whatever is fabricated here. Another thing they tell us is that we're overgeneralizing, talking about how like these TV shows have conditions. We first off, we want to clarify that it is as a matter of fact like very common for these shows to have some kind of hook because these shows have to stand out in some kind of way. They usually have some kind of condition, right? For example, like there's a show where people are in costumes, like monster costumes, so that you can't look at what they look like. Or there's like this one dating show where all the contestants are like single moms or something like that. They need some kind of hook, some kind of condition so that they stand out in the first place. So what the environment, the dating field, like dating pool that you're going into in the first place is very fabricated. And these conditions are in fact genuine. Let's say, let's assume, let's accept, let's concede and say, even if, let's say, we don't have conditions and that it is, let's say, more genuine, because now you're only looking at their personality. We tell you this is negated by the fact that there are cameras everywhere. And even if you only look at their personality in the dating show, you have no conditions whatsoever, there are still going to be cameras somewhere watching you, and you and the partner are going to feel some kind of pressure under it, leading you to not be genuine in that relationship, not fulfilling the ideals of the hopeless romantic, right? Another one thing to point out is that factors like occupation that are put as conditions in these shows are crucial to who you are as a person in judging who you are for the other partner, right? Now moving on to some clarification. We want to clarify that this hopeless romantic, yes, they do want like fairy tale type of love, but at the end of the day, they want love. And what does that love entail? They want genuine, true relationship connection with the other party, right? How will this be satisfied if the people on that show have some kind of condition? The shows are fabricated. They are also not interested in this, defining this like true, genuine love and just there for like fame or fling or hookups, right? We tell you that this is not going to be fully achieved if they do go on this show. If they are so idealistic, we tell you it's more likely that they will be disappointed by the relationship that is developed in the show, right? Because how the government frames it is that this hopeless romantic is only there for like this short-term satisfaction. But if this person is so idealistic, we don't think that their view of love or relationship in the first is going to be only short-term. They want someone that they can fall in love with. This is a person, like this is the man of my dreams. This is the person, like this is what they would most likely want, right? And how will they be satisfied with like this environment, this dating show, if they have to leave it behind someday, right? We tell you that we want to assert, coming from the opposition bench, that it is more likely that long-lasting relationships are more likely to be prioritized by these hopeless romantic, because that is the definition of what true idealistic love should look like. Let's accept the premise that they are there for experience, right? However, we tell you that this experience is not going to be likely to be negative, because they're under pressure and lots of conditions, right? Because like they're there because the show itself has a goal of like high viewerships, right? Now moving on to like, this connects me to my argument in that this experience will most likely be negative and is going to have negative future consequences in the long term. What I mean by this, 3 layers. First is that the partner or anyone you meet in the future is going to have some kind of preconceived notion of you, right? Because when you're on the show, like not everyone, you're not going to universally like, you're at a risk of bad reputation in the first place, right? Whether you are liked or not, whether you are reflected good or not, it obviously alters the view of you, and you cannot meet like people by fate, because people already have this notion of you and assumptions about you, right? Second is that people will most likely tailor themselves to you if you do gain fame from these shows, right? They'll have an altered perception of you, which obviously they at the worst case can take advantage of you, and you cannot pursue like this fairy tale relationship if like this happens. Another thing is that again, it like perpetuates like a very high standard of relationship for you. Now you see like this mansion, this fantasy as the standard, and like you're so used to it, and you refuse to accept love unless you get into the situation. Therefore, we are very proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech, DLO. I would now like to welcome Government Whip to close the case for government. Here.
Am I audible right now?
Oh yeah, loud and clear, also visible as well.
So my speech starts. 3, 2, 1. So for today's debate, I would strongly argue that opposition side is totally misunderstanding about the definitions of hopeless romantic itself. So first of all, my speech will start for the defining hopeless romantic in the first place, and second of all, why I would like to explain why government side win this debate. First of all, let's talk about what is the hopeless romantic. As the PM and LO talk in their speech. The hopeless romantic is the one who prefer fairy tale like love, including but not limiting to spending time with the other in cruise, having awesome dinner at 5-star hotel, etc. So the characteristics of their preference could be summarized into two ways. First of all, a lot of money is spent. So this means their date is required for high budget since the restaurant is so expensive for which are their requirements. Second of all, it is hard to be realized in the real world. So as the LO talk in a speech, they would have been criticized by others about their position toward love throughout the law, by family members or friends talking, you're so childish, you're so idealistic, etc. So this means that, however, the point here is that even though a lot of people scolded at them, and also a lot of they make a lot of mistakes about they have a lot of failures about meeting the new people, they are not changing their perceptions towards love in the first place. So this is the reasons why we believe that hopeless romantic would choose to be featured in reality love show in the first place. And also we believe that featuring in reality love show is beneficial for overall hopeless romantic, because we believe that reality love show, which is operated under numerous staff, sponsor, and through strict process, could actually satisfy their fantasy love. Think about the singles and very like singles something too hot to handle. First of all, for the atmosphere, Netflix and a lot of film manufacturer are now providing awesome spaces, renting a whole island where ordinary people could never have been gone, or with beautiful scene and nice weather. And also they even screen the people they would meet. Remember that people would feature as one who is selected through headhunter of program staff. In the current status quo, a lot of people as you can see in a lot of reality love shows now is broadcasting. So we believe that for this reason, by choosing to be featured in reality love show, the hopeless romantic could satisfy their needs to have a fairy tale loves, and also this could be acted as another form of channel that they could meet people in a fairy tale love style. So we believe this is there is a lot of benefits for them to choose. And also, I would like to talk about the other part linked with the rebuttals against the opposition side. Rebuttal talk about there are high possibility for other contestants to be other participants to be like potential social media influencer. So they couldn't they couldn't gain true love through this program. However, first of all, we believe offsite is just narrowing down today's debate in a sneaky way, since we couldn't just limit the contestant of this show in that way. First of all, I would like to argue that we couldn't agree that the contestants for reality love show have only incentive and the contestants of them in this show has only intention is money or being influencer by the three layers. First of all, the one who has zero intention to find true love wouldn't show up to this reality show, because first, the main purpose of this TV show program is actually real love, and they are well informed about this fact. And second of all, even if we buy their like nonsense argument that people couldn't get a lot of that a lot of people are only having intended to be influencer, we believe that people couldn't get a lot of popularity from public. There is some reasons. Let's think about the Im Han-geul, the specific person that showed up in Heart Signal, which is really popular reality love show in our country. He showed fake love toward women participants to advertise his restaurant. However, after that the attitude he showed toward the woman being revealed that it was fake and intended, people start not to go to his restaurant. So this means that the important thing for them to be attractive to the public, and the important thing for them to gain popularity, is to show the sincere and true attitude of love that couldn't be happen under the intentions and like under the acting things. So we believe this is the first thing that makes them attractive. Since there is a case who failed to be social media influencer by prioritizing his selfish needs, that we believe the one who is defined by offsite couldn't be happen in the first place, because they will ultimately eventually fail to be influencer, and other participants will watch this case. So also, second layer will be still there are a lot of contestants who still choose to live their own life, and who participate in that shows in an active way to find a true love. Think about like, sorry for giving a lot of specific cases, however, please understand this. Think about the Dabin who has been featured to Heart Signal Seasons 2, he decided to participate in this show even though he was elected as national official. So and also even after he became and even after he show up in this broadcast show, he is still living in as a like normal salary man. So we believe that the like narrowing down in a sneaky way for today's motion and that was shown by the offset is totally nonsense by having this numerous real life examples. And also third of all, as the true lovers when and also, as the viewers are now demanding for true lovers to be appeared and to be shown up in this show, we believe that the producers who are like reflecting these demands wouldn't just select the one who are showing the like intention to be social influencer in the first place. So we believe that their side of this argument couldn't happen in the first place. And also they also even if their scenario is true, all people are so calculative, intentional, we could still open the possibility for others to approach to him or her who has been attracted through her pure hopeless romantic aspect. So we believe that by giving an opportunity for them to meet a lot of people and also satisfy their needs, we believe we won this for this clash. And also they mentioned that they couldn't show their true things because since they couldn't disclose the one's occupation. However, we believe hiding occupation itself is the mechanism to be a real fairy tale love in the first place, which is the need of this hopeless romantic. And also fabricate abuse. We believe that they are already so brainwashed and blinded by the love, they wouldn't like by the arguments of the offside, and this is the reasons why we are proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Government Whip. I would now like to welcome Opposition Whip to close the case for Team Opposition.
Thank you very much. My name is Naama. I go by she, her, and I would like to accept my POIs through voice because I can't really see the chat as quickly. And also, if you were to refer to anything I said, you could use she, her, but I prefer to just be called Op Whip if you don't mind. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So the purpose of this debate is, what are we actually debating is, can we achieve the goals of the hopeless romantic by going on these dating shows, and do the risks outweigh the possible benefits? Before I go on to explain why opposition has won this debate, I would like to first offer some rebuttals to the Government Whip. So Government Whip comes in and tells us that we misunderstand their definition and that fairy tale-like love must have luxury. We think that this is a very bad faith, narrow definition, and that fairy tales don't appeal to people because of their aesthetics, but rather the promised feeling of love that is contained within them. However, we are willing to agree that hopeless romantics are willing to do a lot for love. We do agree that they are willing to go quite the distance, but we still think that the risks far outweigh the possible benefits. And we think that by narrowing the definition down into thinking that people who want fairy tale love want this luxury and money is not a good definition. It does not make this motion very debatable. The next rebuttal I would like to offer is when Government Whip was talking about our supposed attempt of narrowing down who can go on these shows, as we were saying that these were mostly social media influencers, models, etc. And that the purpose of the show is to be to provide people with love, but we first of all would like to say that the purpose of these shows is to gain money. That is what all productions are for. That is why they keep making them, and they keep making seasons after seasons, and why we don't actually catch up with these contestants over the course of their lives as they have children, get married, etc. So we think that they did mischaracterize the purpose of the show, but also we think that they misrepresent our correct characterization of who is likely to go on these shows. So these people are typically, and I would say most of the time, the vast majority of the time, very good looking, and they were handpicked meticulously by the production. So this means that they are likely to already have social media influence, and that they will gain a following from going on the show, and that they are aware that they are going to gain a following from this show. So we feel that our characterization was fair, and that ignoring it and saying that like everyday people could maybe go on the show is kind of naive, and could maybe been true at the dawn of dating shows, but not currently in the modern status quo. The next rebuttal is that these people will try to be on their best behavior because they want to be attractive to the public. So they will show off their best features, as was the example of the restaurant owner. We think that this can be easily negated if editors choose to fabricate drama. As we have characterized and mechanized, these shows are highly fabricated, and there is incentive for these editors to create drama and to make people seem like bad people. How do they do this? They use sound clips and video clips out of context. They edit people to look a certain way. They add in clips that were unrelated to paint a certain picture because they're trying to generate drama and create revenue. So we do not think that even if you try to look attractive to people, that this would work, because if the production is determined to create drama, you could be caught in the crosshairs, and this actor could be caught in the crosshairs as well as everybody else on the show. And then finally, they say that people could live a normal life after the show, but we would think that if this is true, then they would be more dissatisfied because they didn't get this fairy tale ending. So this would negate the whole experience. And that even if they live a normal life, the record of them being on the show still exists, and they can't be changed, and other people can check it, including future relationships, which we think is a bad risk that they shouldn't take. Next, I will talk about the clashes, 3 here. So first of all, before going on the show, we need to consider what is the goal of going on the show. Is it finding love, or is it having the experience? I asked for POIs verbally. I'm sorry, I will have to deny. First of all, if the goal is finding love, there is a very low success rate, as the PM themselves agree, right? If the goal is an experience, we would like to contest this by saying that it is unlikely to be a good experience because we characterize these shows correctly as being extremely fabricated and manipulative. Their intention is monetary gain. So their intention is not to make the contestants happy, but to make the viewers happy. So we do not think that this environment is going to be as fairy tale-like as Gov wants to make it seem. So basically, in this clash, these goals will not be met by going on this show. So we think we take this clash. Secondly, while on the show, the issues of the shows that we've pointed out, there's 3 layers of analysis, right? First of all, the intensity of the show. We've mentioned the wrestling creating drama and intrigue for views. We think that this will make it a very stressful environment that is not authentic and does not feel as romantic as government is trying to make it seem. Second layer of analysis is that it's very difficult to be vulnerable in front of these cameras. It will be very hard to talk about personal trauma, knowing that this is going to be recorded and possibly broadcast and kept online forever, just so you could find true love. We think that this would create very surface level relationships that hopeless romantics would not find satisfying. And finally, last layer of analysis, and the real issue behind these shows, is the intentions of the people around are unclear. As was mentioned throughout our speeches, the people going on the show, as well as production, do not have the hopeless romantic's best interest in mind. The people going on the show may have the intention of just hooking up or gaining fame, whereas production, as we have mechanized, their goal is to make money. This is just in the status quo. That is why these shows keep getting made. So at the end of the day, these issues far outweigh the possible benefits. The third clash is the long-term benefit. So government is coming in and they're telling us that this could create a bigger dating pool in the future. We think that this also brings a lot of possible issues, such as manipulation. If somebody sees you on the TV show and you tell them exactly what you want to see in a person, you could tailor themselves to their experience in order to gain their affection. So we think that this could be used for nefarious means. But on our end, for the long term, we see that there is a risk of the audiences having bad reactions, which we cannot guarantee before going on the show or even while on the show, because we don't know what the editing decisions are. And also, it would have an effect on future relationships. As I mentioned earlier, these shows exist online forever, and people in your life in the future will be able to check back on them. So long term, there are more risks than there are possible benefits, which, as we mentioned, would either be finding love or having a good experience, which we think both are highly unlikely. So I just provided you with an analysis of the risks and the possible benefits. And even though that we are daring as a hopeless romantic, we think that the risks are far too high and that finding love IRL would be more organic. As mechanized by the deputy leader of the opposition, we think that being more reliant on fate and real life attraction, it would be more fairy tale like and more satisfying than going on these shows. And therefore, it would be it wouldn't make sense to go on these shows. Reality TV shows are not actually reality, as we all obviously agree in this debate. So any experience on these shows would be less satisfying than in real life. Also, the hopeless romantic may be disillusioned by the show so much they stop believing in love as a result. Therefore, this house, as a hopeless romantic, would not go on these shows. We're very proud to oppose.
Thank you for that speech, Opposition Whip. I would now like to welcome Opposition Reply to close the case for opposition. Here, here.
Yeah, I'm gonna start my speech in 15 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, I put it here. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Just put it away.
Starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. We believe that in today's debate, the government side's fundamental mistake was providing a very limited and narrow definition of what hopeless romantic looked like. They gave a one-liner definition as to what it was, and they provided the definition like along the lines of it being fairy tale or idealistic. And the problem is that they directly linked this and equated this to going on luxury ships and going on these shows where there's a lot of good food and money. And we believe that going on a ship doesn't automatically mean that you find love. And we believe that there was a huge missing linkage between those two assumptions that the government side has said, right? Like an ideal fairy tale love setting is not just going on a cruise and living in mansions, right? You need some kind of connection with the other partner. This is more fitting with the definition that government provided, which is the fairy tale and the idealistic love, right? Because love entails true, genuine relationships. Love does not mean you're going on love does not mean going on like cruising ships and eating pasta and lobster, right? Yes. And we believe that it's actually more idealistic to leave love up to fate in a real life setting, as opposed to this highly fabricated situations and settings. For example, reality dating shows. Why would we say this? Because there are way too many strings and conditions attached to find true love for the hopeless romantic in these reality dating shows. What do I mean by strings and conditions? I mean that there are literally cameras everywhere that is recording every single minute and second of what you are and how you are portrayed on this show. It is not up to you to portray how you are and who you want to find love. It is up to the producers, right? And you also cannot be vulnerable on these television shows because there is a very high chance that you are going to be swept into some unwanted drama while you are a hopeless romantic wanting to find love. And this really negates your goal and minimizes your chances of finding true, genuine relationship and love in like a fairy tale or idealistic situation, right? And not to mention the fact that not to mention the fact that people have different interests as opposed to you, right? Not everyone is here to find genuine love, right? These contestants are handpicked meticulously, which is why we see so many physically attractive and like physically attractive and social media influencers, right? Because the producers want to increase the like viewership. And what do these contestants want? They want more social media exposure and social media presence and want monetary gain and value after these shows, right? And because of these handpicked meticulous contestants and also the fact that there are so many strings and conditions attached, we believe that this perpetuates a very highly fabricated environment, which goes against the very narrative of a fairy tale and idealistic love situation, which is exactly what the hopeless romantic is actively seeking for, right? Not to mention the fact that there's a very high chance that the hopeless romantic will be disillusioned at the end of the show if they do not end up finding the true love. And for these reasons, we are very, very proud to, as an opposition side, to oppose government side's case. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Opposition Reply. I would now like to welcome Government Reply to close the case for government. Here, here.
Wait a moment, please. I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In today's debate, we the government bench have provided two channels to gain love through the reality TV show. First is to the TV show itself. There are luxurious or romantic conditions in the TV in those TV shows today, and the hopeless romantic uh, will seek for those conditions because those fantasies that they have uh, will probably would have probably been made by those other TV shows that they have seen before, and those kind of TV shows are the only way to fulfill those fantasies to those hopeless lovers and their fantasies and their idealistic love. Also, the second channel is through is by the is by meeting idealistic lover after the TV show because they can in the TV show they can show up what they want, who they are in the TV shows, and audiences and viewers watching those TV shows can feel a hopeless love can feel a hopeless uh, romantic as their lover. So this can higher the chance of a hopeless romantic finding their true lover. Also, we have provided the alternative chance, alternative scenario where the hopeless romantic uh, finds out that their view on love, their view on love are way too unrealistic and find after the show uh they have the chance to rethink their view on love, and sometimes they can change their view on love in a more realistic way. I think the biggest clash today is whether the TV show can realize and fulfill the fantasy and realize the love for the hopeless lover. Uh, First, about the purpose of the participants. We believe that there are diverse purpose in the participants. Different which is different from their opinion. It is true that broadcasters seek for monetary benefits. However, the purpose for participants can be diverse. We have provided the reason why many people will find for love in the shows because audiences and viewers do not prefer people who participate to the TV shows only for their monetary purposes and only to be Instagram influencers. Therefore, broadcasters will also seek for a true love seekers and people who seek for love from the TV shows. Also, the actually making love in the TV show are different from it's not very related with the purpose of gaining love. Purpose of gaining love. Uh, Also, the other participants who have different uh, purpose also can make love with a hopeless lover because uh, if they feel attracted to the hopeless romantic, uh, no matter their purpose is love or not, they can also fall in love with a hopeless romantic. Lastly and the most importantly, they have overlooked exclusive characteristic of the hopeless romantic. They there are people in fantasy. There are people who are very enthusiastic to love and who are very unrealistic in the view of love. So uh, they will not believe on the realistic parts of the broadcasters or broadcasting system or TV programs rather than they will seek for fantasies from the TV show. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Gov reply. So this marks the end of this debate. And because I'm a solo chair, I'll just be cutting my mic off. And then after 10 to 15 minutes about individually thinking about the verdict, I will come back and deliver the verdict. Okay. So yeah, thank you for the debate, and I'll be back within 15 minutes.